Hello, this is Christine Farr. Just want to welcome you to Far and Near Masterclass for new notaries. It's a walk through a full loan document package. And today is it's actually July 9th. So please bear with me. And we're going to go through the process. Last week, rather, that's not last week. It because I had some disruption due to a session that a training that I have had to be taking, and just apologize for any inconvenience anybody following the channel. I really had to double down because what I'm doing is a little bit challenging, and want to apologize for any inconvenience for the short notice and cancellation of last week's session. So today is actually July 9th, and the week before that, which was June 25, we looked through the loan document essentials and we talked about the note, the deed of trust, the closing disclosure, the Patriot Act form, the signature affidavit. And of course, I did introduce the journal, the foreign near journal and business logbook. We are launching that and hope for your support. This evening, we're going to talk about we're going to try to walk through a loan package, and the items under review is going to be the signing order, the preparation process, the appointment, scan back, dropping it, and of course, efficiency tips. So let's get into it. For disclosure purposes, I just want to once again welcome everyone. This is Far and Near Masterclass series. I'm Christine Farr, and in this space, we focus on clarity, confidence, and practical options for new notary publics and notaries at every stage. My goal is to help you understand the landscape, explore different approaches, and choose methods that fit your workflow and state specific requirements. This series is educational, not prescriptive. Every notary process is unique, and your state laws always take precedence. Let's explore today's topic with a focus on best practices, professional standards, and informed decision making. So here is an example of a signing order, and it pretty much tells you that you've been assigned the order. It provides you the fee amount. If you look at the highlighted sections, it provides you the date of the signing, the address of the property, and of course, I'm using fictitious information for privacy purposes. So I hope that is abundantly clear to anyone watching, because we do need to protect the privacy of our clients. So I've kind of doctored this for specifically for this learning opportunity. And it goes on, it gives you the name of the borrowers and their contact information. And of course, there's instruction from the title company that tells you to reach out to the borrowers to confirm the appointment. That's part of your process. It also provides, which is something, one of the companies that I actually work with, I really enjoy the fact that they disclose the average of the pages, because that's vital to know, especially if you're doing traditional closing where you're doing wet ink signing. Gives you an idea of what to anticipate, and how it is going to be for you to print the documents to send back to the title company, as well as what the borrower needs to receive in terms of an entire package, which is also a requirement. And then underneath there, it tells you, which is a part of the process. They require you to do what's called a scan back. So it's right here. I'm at this section on the side that says fax, upload full scans to FNM secure portal within 2 hours at closing. And it also gives you the website information and the scheduling team. A few items were also highlighted in, I think this is cayenne and yellow. It tells you what the title company prefers you to use, and this is important to follow. They're asking you to use a black ink or a blue ink pen. If they outline this, you need to make sure that you are following their instructions. They want you to do that specifically for their purposes, and that's something that I always strive to, when I get the thing, this is a part of the review process, because you very well could go there and say, okay, I'm just doing another signing, and you use like a purple pen or some, I don't know. I'm just saying. But if they say black or blue, they want you to do that, and that's there. That's there for a purpose. Uh, and then this part where they say proceed to the signing regardless of contact made with borrower. I I noted that because sometimes people do show up, but this is where, as a traditional notary, I want to make sure that I'm not showing up just for the pay. I'm communicating because that's part of my uh, professionalism, if you will. I'm making sure that what I'm presenting, when I show up, I'm gonna get the loan closed, because just thinking the entire and this is probably just me, as just thinking about the entire process of where the loan is coming from. If you recall, some time ago we talked about the loan cycle, and it's a lot of information, but so that we all can appreciate the effort of each um, hand that had to handle the file and the entire loan process. And we're giving the level of service to our title company and the customers as well. I wouldn't show up without making contact with the borrower. They do state that, but just from a thinking perspective, call your borrowers and make sure that they anticipate you. Call them before, once you get the signing, and call them the day before to reconfirm, so that you're not just showing up to get like something in your pocket for showing up. Just out of integrity. That's my 2 cents. Of course, it also tells you that a full copy of the closing package, it must be provided to the borrower, and that you're to collect all documents that the borrower provides to the notary, as well as copies of the borrower's identification. You're also to, they repeat, because a lot of this is redundant when you're reading the thing. It's redundant, but it's there for a purpose, because expectations are there. Now, as you can see, they're asking you again to ensure that you upload the document within 2 hours. So I'm gonna put this down as a question, hopefully that we can revisit later on in this presentation. But the reason, there are things that will happen, like if you have several closings at the same time. And I've been looking a lot on social media, noticing that there are people taking initiative to ensure that they equip themselves with tools so that they can scan the thing immediately at the signing table or in their car while they're on to their next appointment. These are things that I must admit, it was a learning curve for me as well, because that wasn't a thought that I put in. But as a new notary, this is something that you may want to also consider, equipping yourself with the tools like a mobile scanner, so that you can, be on the go or actually get it done so that you can meet this deadline. All right then. Um, I had the next section, which was the same point about avoiding. It says upload required scan back. Um, I used FAR notary method to secure portal within 2 hours, but of course you know that this is me just creating a scenario so that we can work through understanding some of the process as a new notary. Then you get the information at the bottom from the title company there. Let's move on. So prep tools. The lenders and title companies still rely on traditional notary signing agent. Not every borrower has embraced the transition to doing things remotely, and therefore being able to do a quality job in this it's important. Please excuse my rush and my spelling. Ensure that you are prepared to fulfill the role by equipping yourself with the right tools. And, again, I repeated that call to confirm the appointment. Arm yourself with tools needed, pens, and reliable journal to notate the information. Right. Just want to pause here and just for transparency purposes, um, you know, I've been going through my own transition. I am looking forward to the opportunity where we can do things online. That's I'm in North Carolina. I don't know who is following the um the sessions that I present, but I know that there are a lot of states that are way ahead. But because several things have occurred for me personally, and these are just a lot of setbacks, personal setbacks, and I've had some very trying times. So when I'm presenting this session, it is from a place of understanding how difficult it is to, how do you say, make blood from stone. A lot of changes have just suddenly been thrown into the industry, and I think my heart, my desire is to pass on information in a way that will at least enable those who feel like, they're behind or they're not understanding all the hype and everything that's going on in social media, because there's a lot of people selling stuff and saying a lot of things, and while that's it's all good and well to earn an income and to make a business from your notary uh, business, it's also important to care about your community and to do things from a place of service, because at the end of the day, we are all public servant or servants, and that's what, I don't want anyone to feel like there is not enough. There's an abundance of opportunity, but for whatever reason, sometimes you do feel, I know for sure that I felt misplaced, if you will, and out of just an abundance of caution. I want to be careful how I craft what I need to say. It's I've been dealing with a lot, and so when I'm presenting this, I'm presenting it from my heart with the hope that those of you who are listening can truly benefit from the information that I provide, and it will empower you to move with just arm yourself with the tools that you need to succeed, whether it is in a traditional notary space or the electronic notary space, but not from a place where you're pressured to purchase tools or courses or anything like that without understanding the value that these individuals are giving. So that's all I'm going to say on that. Let me move on. Here is the loan package. Many notary signing agents are not familiar with the mortgage industry and choose to take on the role of handling loan documents with little to no knowledge of what they are undertaking. It is with this in mind that this resource is created. Though some may believe that this is not part of the role of a notary signing agent's knowledge base, it's important to increase awareness so that the borrowers and documents may be handled with the due care that they deserve. There are many types of investors when it comes to the loan, right? There's Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, FHA, USDA. Those are just some of the ones that I can think of offhand. Um, so this one, for this particular presentation, I will provide a typical example for a Fannie Mae purchase loan transaction. And just for complete transparency, this is just an example. It's something that I've constructed because of the awareness of the privacy policy when it comes to dealing with individuals. I had a couple of issues when it comes to this presentation. Um, I wasn't sure. Of course, I can't use other people's information to make the disclosure, but I hope that the core and the intent of what I'm doing is clear, the concept. So though some of the information may be a repeat from a previous presentation, conceptually, it is a process. Okay. So this is a typical Fannie Mae loan package checklist. For the lender's closing instruction is going to be there, and that may also include the closing disclosure, the fixed rate note or adjustable rate note, and the rider. That's also going to be a part of it. Then the security instrument, the mortgage deed of trust, the riders where applicable, and sometimes this may be a planned unit development. It may also be a condominium rider. It may be a second home rider. The package, it'll also have a preliminary title report, a closing letter. These are things that probably the notary may or may not receive, depending on how they package the actual loan package that is sent out for signing. But just to give you a big overview of what is involved in closing, the big pieces that will be signed or notarized or by the borrower includes the occupancy and the borrower certification. So the occupancy affidavit, the borrower certification and authorization, signature affidavit or name affidavit, as they sometimes call it, the compliance agreement or correction agreement or errors. And I think there are like a synonymous, these three items come and sometimes they duplicate them. So just to kind of give a quick overview, then the identity compliance. This is part of the Patriot Act process that we've been following for some time now. And the purpose of the Patriot Act is to deter fraud and money laundering so that notaries understand the seriousness of what they're doing when they're handling loan signing. Also in the identity and compliance is the IRS for W-9 and taxpayer identification. They take these at various stages of the loan. So that will be part of your package that sometimes ends up, because of different requirements at various phases of the loan. You're going to also have your tax documents. That's the IRS 45906C, or I think sometimes they'll have the 906T, but you'll see one or both. Then the tax insurance and escrow disclosure, insurance documents, that's your hazard insurance authorization. If you're in a flood zone, you're also going to see that document in there. If the borrower opts to waive, that means they don't want to an escrow, the lender to escrow their loan, you will see a waiver in the package. If they choose to have the lender escrow the loan, that will not be in there. Okay, so when they're waiving it, they're saying, listen, we are going to pay our taxes by ourselves. We don't want to put this as part of the package. But the escrow waiver, that only happens if the borrower qualifies, because some loans, like based on their debt to income ratio, they're gonna need to have the loan escrowed. And then you'll have your loan disclosures. You'll have your first payment letter, your initial escrow disclosures. And of course, this sounds repetitive, but this is in the case where the borrower has opted to escrow the loan. And the amortization schedule, that's typical. That's something that's required, that they have to give an example. The homeowner's insurance disclosure, the privacy notice, and then the Equal Credit Opportunity Act notice. Some additional items in a typical Fannie Mae. This is a Fannie Mae purchase loan. You'll have your purchase documents, such as your purchase agreement, your owner's affidavit, your survey affidavit, your title affidavit, your property tax information. Then the state-specific documents, that this is like in North Carolina here, it's an homestead state. So that would probably be included in a package for North Carolina for a residential home loan. You also see any spousal documents. For example, you may, I'm trying to stay focused, but just to kind of touch on everything and stay clear. For spousal document, like, what can I think of? Like if there's what can I say? Spousal documents. So if you have a situation where the borrower is quit claiming, I don't know if it's sometimes people do a quit claim. That's one thing that comes to mind quickly. But for a purchase, you may not find that. I'm not sure. But it's a possibility. So, or it could be a deed of trust where you have the spouse signing for a refinance, and they're not on the loan, the actual loan application. And that's just as I said that, I realized I did not put that. I don't think I had that mentioned, but the 1003, of course, is going to be on there. And then the state required affidavit. You're also going to have some miscellaneous documents. Lenders typically ask borrowers to sign document correction agreement. It is similar, I suppose, to the errors and omission agreement. So, if some typographical error occur, they can perfect the loan without going through the entire signing process again. And then all the rest here, it's the borrower's contact information, the wire fraud, notice acknowledgement, the electronic follow those. The recording document, what I will say about this, for me, This is just me being Christine. Whenever I see a legal description in my loan package, I like to put it right at the back of the deed of trust or the mortgage, because it just makes sense. They are going to attach it anyway, and there is information in the deed of trust that says, league refers to it. So whenever I see, which typically for some reason, whenever the lender sends the package out, it's always somewhere at the very back, and I'm like, why do they produce it this way? But it's generated that way, and this is me. I don't know if others think this way, but I don't like to shuffle anything else except that particular piece of document. I try to do that every time, and I hope it makes sense, because in the end, when they get the deed of trust to the county office, it is attached to it. So just a little tidbit right there. As a notary, I put it with that. All right, so here's the difficult part. I'm going to kind of pop out of this because we've done this before, but I'm going to look at the closing disclosure. So here is my sample of the closing disclosure, and it's something similar to what we have. You have your closing date and all of that. As a notary, all I'm doing, I'm making sure that, that's correct, that's correct. I'm not really digging deep into the loan. I just want to make sure that the information is accurate, because at least the borrower's name is there. And I also go here to ensure that if the borrower needs to bring funds to closing, I know that beforehand. So either they are assigning some information at the table to return the funds to them by wire, or they have certified funds to provide, so I can deliver that to the lender with my closing package. So this is a part of my preparation. And then here, I would have them sign at the bottom right here. Right. So I don't get too deep into it, but there are certain things that I make sure as the notary I have to look for to see that these things are present. And if possible, I could even have that conversation with them when I first make initial contact. So that's one piece, and I'm kind of running short on time. I'm not going to rush through this, but bear with me. I may go over a little bit. This was my piecing together an example of a lender instruction. So for example, if I get this instruction, what I'm looking for is anything that is relevant to me as the notary. So I'm, eyeing it, and I'm going all the way down. And I think for this particular one, it's right here where it says the notary is to collect a copy of the borrower's identification. So there's nothing else on here, because I looked through it. There's nothing really relevant to me as the notary. So I just kind of, review to make sure that if there's anything of point, and the rest of it, this is not relevant to me. What you'll find on a lender's instruction, they have this information, your signature of closing agent. And when I first started out, it kind of confused me, because they didn't have, some of them don't have /attorney, right? So I'm not the closing agent, which in this case, I'm not an attorney, so I can't sign this piece. So I would leave that, because either the title company or if it were an attorney, I don't sign that. That's the reason why I presented that. All right, moving right along, we and just want to pause again and quickly say I did say a full loan package. Bear with me, please. If not this time, I really wanted to fulfill that request by going through an entire loan package, but I've been dealing with a lot and I'm just going to do this conceptually because I really didn't give enough thought to what I promised. And I'm asking anyone who's listening for your forgiveness because if I say something, I want to make sure that I keep my promises. But conceptually, right, as a notary, this is your deed of trust. Your main purpose is to ensure that you, of course, get the identification process done. Your borrower is going to be signing in your presence. Somebody actually emailed me earlier on and asked me this question. So this verbiage, let's get down to that page. This verbiage right here. It says borrower accepts and agrees the term. Okay, so there's they're gonna sign here, right? But on my notary page, it says I, Christine Farr, a notary public for the county of, and of course it's gonna have the space and the aforesaid states. This may be a little bit redundant, but you would put North Carolina, then I'm in Mecklenburg. So for the county and the state, of course, that certify. So this is a certification, right? Depending on the verbiage, if it is an actual sworn statement, you do need to ensure that you are asking them, do you swear? You're making sure you're following your state guideline because that's a part of your process. So you do want to ensure that you do that, okay? If the person is personally known to you, you would elect this part. If you've used a ID to verify their identity, this is where you would check, you put the date, and then you sign and put your expiration date and affix your stamp right there. So that would be the conclusion of that. So this conceptually addresses the entire process because having looked at all the other items that we would typically review or sign in a loan package, it should give you a good concept of what you're dealing with. So let's just finish up. All right, so when you're at the appointment, the NNA provides some clear guidance on how to handle the signing appointment. And in accordance with these protocols, the notary signing agent's main role is to ensure that he or she avoid the unauthorized practice of law. So presenting the loan document requires tact, poise, and preparation. The NSA would be wise to prepare the package prior to the signing with a sign your sticker. If you're dealing with traditional wet ink signing, yeah, I do that. But please, please, please remove the stickers before you send them back to your title company or your lender, as the case may be, just to ensure the ease of locating the documents in the loan packages that require the notarization. That's why you're putting them there, but it is your role to remove them because you're gonna hear somebody screaming at you from title, or they're going to do even worse. So don't leave them there. All right, the scan back, we've already kind of touched on this earlier on. Many NSA who travel to the borrowers now use a scanner to upload the documents. There are specific requirements that lenders and title companies set depending on the time of day of the closing, and the NSA is expected to meet these requirements. Equipping yourself with the right tools is important. Ensure that you have the right tools to maintain the lender or the title company's standard. Right, so we're doing the drop now. It could be FedEx, DHL, or UPS. The NSA is also required to return the signed loan. FedEx, UPS, or DHL may be used. The NSA should notate the tracking information and act within the guidance of the frame and or communicate with the lender title company if the expectation could not be met. This is a piece of detail that is typically outlined in the lender's instruction. The performance of the NSA is measured by specific metrics that include timeliness. So particularly with purchase transaction, you do want to get those documents scanned as quickly as possible because funding is part of the process and that's what they use those scanbacks for, right? And all right, so as we conclude this week's presentation, if you're looking for efficiency tips, we're excited to introduce the Refresh Notary Journal and Business Logbook. This journal was created with a simple goal to support organization, professionalism, and growth within the notary community. As we prepare for the launch, we would be grateful for your support. Every order helps to continue creating and sharing free educational content, training opportunities, and practical resources for new and growing notaries. If you have found value in what was presented today, this would be a way to support us to continue the work. All right, so thank you. And if anyone has any question, I would encourage you to post your thoughts or your questions or feedback on the YouTube that I did not have anybody participating this month, and I think it's partly because of my time time issues. So I will still continue to produce these videos. If you do have questions, please leave those for me. And just want to thank you for your time today. My contact information is there. Please bear with me as I go through my own transitions. And I appreciate all the support and the encouragement. Thanks.